guys, welcome back into iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast, the Battleground Podcast. It's battle from some of your favorite iHeartRadio stations across the country, including Rock 102 right there in Memphis. And, well, AEW is making their return to South Haven, Mississippi tomorrow for AEW Collision. Tickets still available at AEW Tix. That's TIX.com. And, well, our guest on today's show is no stranger to South Haven, that area, as well as this show. It is really good friend of the show, Jeff Jarrett. Everybody give it up for Jeff Jarrett. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, what a round of applause, Mr. Battle. No, all good, man. Rocking and rolling here in Memphis, Tennessee. Started the media rounds early, and, man, kind of cruising into town late last night on the 4th of July. Left the lake, but as I cruised down here, a lot of memories came back in so many ways, and started my media day earlier and seeing some old friends, some new friends. But, man, some things never change. Memphis, Tennessee is truly a wrestling town. We're just going right across the border right there at South Haven, the Landers Center. But, man, it's been so cool, and went over to Memphis Wrestling today and did a media stop there and pushed out a bunch of stuff on social media. So Collision, man, it's kicking off. You've already hit the AEW Tix, but I told somebody earlier today, I used to make that drive down I-40, and we're talking about the Mid-South Coliseum and who's going to get to see it live tonight. Well, at the Landers Center, it's truly a global broadcast, seen all over the world. It'll be seen live. Man, I don't know how many countries we're in live, Australia, India, all points in between. But Collision is a must-see show, and I hear we're kicking things off with MJF. So I appreciate you having me on today, and good to hear your voice on this holiday weekend.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And, I kind of want to talk about it. This past Wednesday, us on the show felt as if you were kind of screwed in your match in the Owen Hart Cup. You had the difficult task of wrestling an opponent that they never told you who it was, so you didn't really get a chance to prepare, kind of watch some tape. And then you find out that it's Hangman Page. How do you feel, or how did you feel heading into that match, not knowing who you're wrestling? And then how were you feeling when you heard his music hit?
And I'm going to go into great depths. My podcast, as you know, you're a friend of the podcast, a friend of the family. New episodes drop every Tuesday. We're going to have a new one dropping coming up. The name of my podcast is My World with Jeff Jarrett. And we're going to go into great detail. Obviously, we don't have the time today, but what Tim, in a lot of ways, I'm just kind of taken aback at just the feedback prior to the match, going into it, and then coming out of it. You just kind of mentioned, and Jay Lethal harped on it in so many ways. I didn't have the ability to prepare. I kind of look at that as an excuse. I understand that, but being in the tournament, and I said it, and I meant it. I meant it today more than I ever have. I said it 2 weeks ago when they set me down. It's in a lot of ways, it's an incredibly humbling experience to be able to step in the ring, one of 8 guys chosen, a lot riding on the line. In life, a lot of times we talk about our whys. Why do we do things? Well, the 7 other guys, I think for the most part, their meaning behind the Owen, for all intents and purposes, is a stepping stone to get to Wembley. And I understand that, to get a world title shot. I think Hangman's why of wanting to be in the tournament and getting put into the tournament, his golden prize is Swerve. My why in so many ways still stands here today. A very, very, as crazy as it sounds, Tim, we're 25 years later of losing one of my best friends. But to have the opportunity to stand in Calgary, in Owen's hometown, and being able to look his wife and kids in the face and tell them how much Owen meant to me, meant to the wrestling business, not only from the past, but today. I can't tell you how many guys have come up to me since the promo aired, and obviously Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal, and their candid words they know how much it means to me. So my why of wanting to, not only be in the tournament, succeed was all about Owen. Didn't quite live up to my expectations, but that's life. That truly is life in a nutshell. That it's always there's always challenges, there's always obstacles, and you don't always get to have that story that ends well. But I know that as crazy as it may sound, there's always next year. There's always another opportunity. But it was special. I will say this: it was a very, very special night. And Tim, when I locked the sharpshooter on in Chicago on Hangman, that was a special moment in and of itself. But I just, I'm man enough to know I didn't get the job done, and that's life.
I will tell you though, when I saw you locked in that sharpshooter, I was like, I as they say in the business, I popped. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great show of respect to Owen. And like you said, that promo, when I watched it, I was like, there it is right there. That's who my pick is that's going to win it all. After seeing that promo, your heartfelt message and everything, I was like, this is it. And then after watching it on Wednesday, I felt that you got screwed. My 7-year-old thought the same thing. He doesn't know much about the history of you and Owen, but we've kind of gone down that path of watching YouTube videos. So he kind of sort of understands to a 7-year-old's extent. But it was a bummer. But like you said, I mean, there's next year, and we have all faith because, on the show, we put it out in the universe and it happened. So
there you go.
So that's
manifest it, Tim. Manifest it, Tim.
That is the goal. That is the goal. So you talk about it, and we've had this conversation before, but I mean, wrestling has seen tremendous changes over the years, both in the ring and behind the scenes. Somebody who's been around it from, all different eras of wrestling, what are your thoughts on the current state of the industry, and how do you see it evolving in the next few years?
I said this in 2014, and people laughed. Some people laughed that wrestling was headed for a boom. And I'm not talking about a cyclical every 7 years or 7 to 10 years. I wasn't, I didn't need to clarify that. But with the way the world, I don't have to tell you, we're connected. You can do Zoom calls, social media. You can go live to the world, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you have an audience. The natural, probably to your much dismay, the natural forms of media no longer exist. The natural forms of consuming content just don't exist. When I broke in, you got to watch your wrestling on Saturday mornings and Saturday nights. And as a talent, you had 5 to 7 minutes a week to connect with your audience. Those days, it's a completely new slate. So the evolution of the business with the not just linear television, not just the networks, but streaming, all forms of social media, it's not going to slow down. You can see that by the headlines of the sports rights fees going up. And, football, monster deals. Cricket just hit a monster worldwide audience. All these sports that we want to talk about, NFL, NBA, all this, they're all seasonal. Professional wrestling doesn't have seasons. We're 52 weeks a year, global events around the world, nonstop. We're headed to Wembley next month. We'll come back from that 2 weeks and do a major event in Chicago. We just were in Chicago this past Wednesday night. We're going to Calgary, right in the middle of Calgary Stampede. The business is just going to continue. Things don't go in reverse. Things don't go back. And when you look at where AEW is positioned, like I said, we're stepping into the Landers Center tomorrow night from South Haven, Mississippi. But when the red light comes on, that's an audience literally seen around the globe. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the stars, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Not to get too political, but Tim, or do you follow politics at all?
Somewhat. I mean, you have to.
Okay.
Radio.
Exactly. So I'm not a political guy whatsoever. I learned that early. There's 3 things you don't argue about: politics, religion, and wrestling. So I've tried to stay out of arguments with all of them. But with that being said, the Republican candidate, his latest post was a challenge for a debate. And President Trump says something to the effect, closing out his statement, Joe Biden, I challenge you to a debate anytime, anywhere, any place. If that isn't professional wrestling, I don't know what is. So when you put it into the world's grandest stage of politics, the world's grandest stage, the guy who just won India, they won cricket. They did the strut, and you're seeing wrestling interwoven in that. It used to be wrestling tried to get into pop culture. Professional wrestling now is pop culture in so many ways, in all sports, in all entertainment. That's what I'm saying. It's in politics. So you asked me as a third generation promoter, and I say that very proudly. My grandmother got into the industry in Nashville, Tennessee in 1946. So it's a long time going. The business is going to continue to grow, and I'm fascinated by it more and more today than I ever have been. I love it. I'm here, like I said, doing media today on the 5th of July and can't wait for the show tomorrow night because there's 2 Owen Hart Cup tournament matches, a male and a female, I believe. No, there's a Tony Storm in a match, but we have Jay White and Hangman Page in a match. MJF kicking it off. Luchadors are in town. Japanese stars are in town. So just coming off Forbidden Door, it was an incredible 5 hours of just off the charts, great professional wrestling. And, you can tell I'm excited about it, but the business, it will continue to be layered up and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. And of course, you can still grab those tickets. They are available for AEW Collision, South Haven, Mississippi. You can grab those AEWTix.com. That's AEWTIX.com. You mentioned about wrestling getting bigger and bigger. And one of the crucial things when it comes to wrestling, of course, as you know, is developing new talent for the longevity of any wrestling promotion. What initiatives or programs does AEW have in place to nurture and develop that next generation of wrestling stars?
When you think about you're talking about the evolution of developing talent. Well, the business continues to evolve. You see our guys. You'll see not that John Moxley needs reps, but he just went to Japan. You see us working with CMLL. I'm currently going down to AAA in Mexico. Like I just said, the relationships with New Japan Wrestling. So our talent are exposed, the Ring of Honor brand. And so to take it a step further down from that is the different independent. There's an independent promotion in Cleveland that I'm currently working with. So guys have their opportunities. And when you kind of mirror it, because I think we've come from an era of, I'll call it late 90s, that when there was really too big and how the business was, you either work for one or the other. Those days are truly in the rearview mirror. And so now you kind of look at the opportunities and you kind of look at the music business. It used to be, 3, 4, maybe 5 labels of in the music industry ran not just Nashville, but New York and LA. You were on one of the big 3, one of the big 5. And that's how you got your music break. Those days are gone. So all forms of entertainment, whether it's music, whether it's truly comedy, wrestling, it doesn't really matter. Again, it goes back to what we carry around in our pockets and with the different apps. You can expose yourself to your audience in a major way. And I think that's what talent have to have the mindset. I think it all starts doing the ears with talent on how do they want to become emotionally engaged with their audience. It drills, I say that often on my podcast. How does the talent grow their fan base? And it's all through emotional connection.
Absolutely. Jeff Jarrett is on the show with us right now. I got a couple quick questions before we wrap it up. Now, here's the time of the show where we ask the fun questions where you're like, come on, Tim, really? Is this what you're asking? But I noticed on AEW's website, they have all their champions listed, right? I did, however, notice that they're missing their Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch champion.
Yeah, they are.
What's up with that? And also, do you plan on defending that title anytime soon? Because you won it here in Nashville.
I have been literally, you think I'm kidding, Tim. I bet I get an email every other week about that title. And so I may be saving my championship matches for I'm going to pick my spots. But man, that championship kind of has become an animal all into itself. But we'll see what the future holds, because those folks that are dialed into that IP, if you will, the video game and everything that goes with it, They have a kind of a special lock and key on it, but I am their champion, Mr. Battle.
I'm surprised Conrad hasn't tried to buy that title off of you yet, because I know he likes those ring use titles.
That's right.
Final question before we let you go. We always like to go to our robot computer, our Chat GPT robot, and we type in, ask our guest a question. And normally it's like, how did you get your start in wrestling? Well, we can all go to Jeff Jarrett's Wikipedia page and know how he got his start in wrestling. So you kind of have to give it a couple little, guitar shots. And finally, the computer spit this one out. How many guitars do you think you've smashed in your career, and which one was the most memorable?
Buddy, I lost count, and I can't even say I lost count. I don't think I really ever started counting, but it's up there. There is, I was doing, I guess that was my 11 a.m. stop today, and we got into kind of the guitar discussion. And, from Beetlejuice or Gary Coleman, God rest his soul, the Fabulous Moolah, there is a long, long list. Tim, I think you need to join that list, to be honest. But
I'll take a guitar shot. I won't mind me.
I don't know how many, but I certainly it is. People will come up to me and say, "Hey, do you remember when?" And then fill in the blank about a certain guitar shot. And you know what? It's up there. I mean, to crack Paul Walterhauser over the head with a guitar in the LA Forum the night after he won the Golden Globe. That was a pretty special one too, and he's making his inroads. I feel a payback's coming there, but there's a few special ones that's up there. But again, I like the fans to pick who their favorite ones, and I'll just listen to the feedback.
I think I got to go with and everybody goes with those. It's got to be the Gary Coleman and Beetlejuice. I think the Gary Coleman was the best one, especially as a Titans fan, because I believe you were wearing a Wycheck jersey in that one.
I was. It was in Buffalo. That Buffalo, after the Music City Miracle, got to wear my Titans jersey up there. Folks weren't real happy about that, and they certainly, with the Buffalo Bills on the front row, the defensive line on the front row, they got to witness the massacre of what you talking about, Willis.
I still remember that clip to this day, and I think I shared it on social media, and every year around playoff times it gets shared because of all the Titans and Buffalo fans. But
love it.
Jeff, I know you're a busy man. You got to take care of things. Looking forward to it. AEW Collision tomorrow night, South Haven, Mississippi. Grab those tickets now, AEWTix.com. That is AEWTix.com. Looking forward to watching Collision tomorrow night. Also looking forward to Blood and Guts coming to Nashville.
Yes, sir. I'll see you there, my man. Appreciate your time today. AEWTix.com.